In music, the mastery of individual elements such as dynamics, tempo, and timbre forms the technical foundation. However, true artistry emerges when these elements are integrated seamlessly to create a coherent and compelling expressive interpretation. This module focuses on synthesizing the knowledge of dynamics, tempo, and timbre, empowering you to understand and apply these parameters interactively to bring music to life. Expressive interpretation is the performer's or composer's ability to communicate emotional nuance, narrative progression, and stylistic authenticity through subtle and deliberate manipulation of musical language. It transcends mere note accuracy to imbue music with meaning and personality. The interconnectedness of dynamics, tempo, and timbre are deeply intertwined. Changes in one often affect or complement the others to shape the listener's experience. A crescendo, dynamics, combined with an accelerando, tempo, can heighten tension and excitement. A soft dynamic paired with a slow tempo and warm timbre might evoke introspection or tenderness. Abrupt shifts in dynamics coupled with sharp timbral changes can signal drama or surprise. Understanding how to balance and contrast these elements is crucial to creating expressive musical narratives. Historical evolution of dynamic notation. In early Western music, dynamics were often left to performers' discretion. Medieval and Renaissance music rarely included explicit dynamic markings, reflecting oral traditions and performance practices. The Baroque era, 1600 to 1750, introduced rudimentary dynamic instructions, but it was during the classical 1750 to 1820 and romantic 19th century periods that detailed dynamic notation flourished. Composers like Beethoven pioneered expressive dynamics to intensify musical drama, using markings such as PPP, very, very soft, and FFV, very, very loud. Modern scores incorporate a wide palette of dynamic symbols and textual instructions, allowing nuanced control over volume and expression. Common dynamic markings and terminology. Musicians use a standardized set of Italian terms and symbols to denote dynamics. Key markings include: we will use table with columns, marking, description, abbreviation, and approximate volume level. 1. Pianissimo, very soft, pepe, whisper level. 2. Piano, soft, P, quiet but audible. 3. Mezzo piano, moderately soft, MP, slightly soft. 4. Mezzo forte, moderately loud, MF, medium loud. 5. Forte loud, F, strong and clear. 6. Fortissimo, very loud, FF, powerful, commanding. 7. Fortissimo, extremely loud, FF, intense, often climactic. Note: actual volume depends on the instrument, acoustic environment, and performance context. Additional markings. Crescendo, less than. Gradually get louder. Decrescendo or diminuendo, greater than. Gradually get softer. Sforzando, SSFZ. Sudden, strong accent on a note or chord. Subito piano, subi or P, suddenly soft. Terrace dynamics. Abrupt changes from one dynamic level to another without gradual transition, common in Baroque music. Physiological and acoustic aspects. Dynamics are experienced through both the physical generation of sound and human perception. Production. On instruments, dynamics are controlled by the force of breath, bow pressure, finger attack, or mallet strike. For voices, breath support and vocal fold tension modulate volume. Acoustics. Louder sounds produce higher sound wave amplitudes and more overtones, which can also affect perceived timbre. Perception. Human hearing is sensitive to dynamic changes. Subtle shifts can convey complex emotional signals. However, dynamic perception is influenced by environment, instrument characteristics, and listener attention. Dynamics across instruments and genres. Different instruments and musical styles approach dynamics uniquely. Strings and winds can create gradual dynamic changes through bowing and breath control. Percussion. often produces naturally loud sounds, but can also vary dynamics via technique and instrument choice. Electronic instruments. Dynamics can be manipulated digitally for precise control. Genres. Classical music emphasizes detailed dynamic markings and expressive shaping. Jazz often uses dynamics for spontaneous expression and interaction. Pop and rock rely on dynamics to build tension and release energy. Traditional and world music employ dynamics variably, often contextually tied to dance or ritual, practical applications and techniques. Musicians must develop the ability to execute dynamic instructions with control and expressiveness. Mastery of breath control, bowing, embouchure, and articulation techniques is crucial. Understanding instrument-specific dynamic ranges helps performers select appropriate volumes. Dynamic shading within phrases adds emotional contour and narrative shape. Conductors use hand gestures to communicate dynamics in ensemble settings. Composers and arrangers exploit dynamics to create texture, highlight themes, and engage listeners. Dynamics in musical analysis. Analyzing dynamics reveals much about a piece's structure and intent. Dynamic patterns can indicate formal sections, e.g., crescendo leading to a climax. Changes in dynamics often align with harmonic or thematic developments. Dynamic contrast affects tension and resolution cycles. A deep understanding of dynamics enriches music appreciation and critical listening. In summary, this module has established dynamics as a powerful, versatile language of musical expression, blending technical, physiological, historical, and artistic perspectives. You who master dynamics gain tools for enhanced performance, composition, and listening insight.